So 1 John 2:16 says, "For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world." We're every day addicted to one thing or the other. Roland addicted very much to his phone, but also when he's on AM Talk, he doesn't want to move for anybody to come. Today we want to talk about if you're addicted to sex, you may be addicted to drugs, food. Sometimes you may be addicted to your phones or social media. How do you overcome these addictions and many more? And because this is a topic that affects almost all of us, we want to go all out and deal with the situation. So we've put up a post on Facebook. And then we also hit the streets, so we'll play back some comments from some of you we spoke to, and then we'll open the phone lines as well. So if you're in this kind of situation, what kind of help can you have? But let me introduce to you my guests. Dr. Kwejumafo Obeng is a psychiatrist with the Pantine Hospital. Good morning to you, Doc.
Good morning.
And Mr. George Asa is a counselor. He's a member of the Ghana Academy of Christian Counselors. So good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
All right. Let me begin with you, Dr. Mafo Obeng. Addictions, is it like a medical condition?
Yes, yes. We've gone very far from the days when we believed that it was just a problem behavior. It is, in fact, a medical condition. It's a brain disease. So currently we describe it as a chronic relapsing brain disease. Okay. Which means that it's a disease that lasts for a very long time, or something in the order of hypertension or diabetes. So essentially lifelong for most people. And also something that tends to have relapses. So you get better and then you get worse, and then you get better and then you get worse. So that's how we view addiction now. This is because we've actually seen changes in people's brains who are addicted. So there are changes in the brains of people who are suffering from this sort of condition that reflect the problems they have trying to stop doing whatever they're addicted to.
Okay. Could you be addicted and not know?
Well, for us to call it an addiction, it has to be causing some sort of difficulty in your life, either in your personal life, with your family, with your friends, or in your professional life. There's always some level of deficit. The person isn't living to the potential that they could be living to. But the nature of addiction is it's hard for the person to come out and say that the problems I'm having in my life is due to this thing which I keep on doing. Okay. That's by the nature of the illness. So the person is aware that there's a problem, but making the connection between the problem they're having and the thing they're addicted to, it's a bit difficult for them because of the urge to continue doing the thing. So there's all sorts of rationalizations. Oh, my boss isn't fair, that's why I didn't get the promotion. Oh, my wife nags too much, that's why I'm having trouble at home. That sort of thing. But a good number of them are well aware of the fact that they have a problem. It's just that they cannot stop doing what they're doing. Okay.
Ms. Asa, how often do you get people coming either to you or your team with problems of addiction?
Very often. Recently, they've been coming to me very, very often. I'll talk about the youth, especially. They will come to you with problems of sometimes even sex. And sexual-related matters like masturbation. The person is addicted to masturbation and other substances that my good friend would say, maybe from cigarettes and drugs.
Okay. And these are young people, young unmarried people.
Yeah, they have the courage to come, but high-profile cases, those who are difficult to handle, they normally will not own up, they won't come to you. Okay. But they'll be suffering from addictions. I don't know.
Maybe because you're more, counselors are more like religious. So perhaps they would come to the hospital often. Do people often come? And when we say people are addicted to things, from your perspective, can you give us an outline of the sort of things that come?
The features of addiction.
Yeah, no, as in, is it sex? Is it drugs?
Right. Okay, so the challenge that we have in Ghana is that people have to recognize that they're having a problem, first of all. Secondly, that problem is medical. And then thirdly, that where you go for help is from a mental health professional. So we have huge problems. Most people who are having this problem, they won't even identify that it is a problem that can be helped. For the ones that believe that it's a problem that can be helped, they often end up actually going to pastors and so on and so forth, trying to get, because they believe that it's like a curse on them and not an illness. So they go in that direction. So we don't tend to see them in the hospital, unless for the ones that everybody knows that it is a problem, which is drugs. So people with alcohol problems, people with marijuana, cigarettes, cocaine. We tend to see the people with the drug addictions in Ghana. That's why I'm always happy to do programs like this, to let people know that the scope of addiction is much wider than we think of, much wider than the alcohols and the cocaines and the cigarettes. Because the impact on people's lives with all these other addictions, like with gambling addictions, is just as significant as it is with the drug addiction. So people's lives are being ruined, and they are being ruined in silence because they don't know that there's help available for them for this sort of thing. So we're not seeing them much, but I hope with more programs like these, people will now become more aware of the fact that it is a sickness and there is help available for them.
At what points do we say that you're addicted to food, addicted to social media, addicted to sex?
It's interesting that you use those examples because some of those haven't been actually identified as proper addictions yet. In the lay person's definition of addiction, a lot of those have qualified. But for us, we need certain features which gambling has, which the drugs have. So these features, you need to require more of whatever it is to get the same feeling as when you started.
Okay.
So simply put, for alcohol, when you started out, sure, my Christian brother might not know what I'm talking about, but when one started out, you
he's been young before.
He's been young before.
Yes.
Okay. Before he found his way.
I'm still young. I'm the youngest old man.
Okay. You started out with a bottle of beer and you'll be tipsy. Yeah. After a while, you're drinking 3 or 4 and you're still clear-eyed. You need to drink a lot more to get the same effect. You can have the same thing with gambling. You gambled small amounts of money, you're getting that high that you're looking for.
No, that's precisely. Like it,
I mean, it's all gambling. So you bet a small amount, you got that high. The next time you bet the same amount and you're not getting the same thrill, so you need to bet more and more and more and more. This is associated with, like I'm saying, brain changes. So when you don't do it, your body actually physically responds. So with alcohol, they can get irritable in the morning, their hands shake, you know, in the worst form, they can even have seizures, have problems sleeping. What's interesting about gambling is that they have almost a similar thing. If a gambler hasn't been able to gamble the way he wanted to gamble, or he had to cut down on his gambling, they become irritable. They have difficulty sleeping.
Really?
They become restless. Yes, it's been actually observed. There is loss of control. So you sit down, I'm just going to have 1 beer with my friends. Next thing you know, your friends have all gone home and you're still at the bar drinking apeteshi, sort of thing. Same thing with gambling. Today I'm just going to bet 5 cedis. Next thing you know, you've been to the ATM 3 times and now there's no money left in your account. So there's this loss of the ability to control when and how much you're doing the thing that you don't intend to do.
Yeah.
There's a continued use despite harm. So with a substance, something like alcohol, you're having stomach problems, you're having hypertension, your doctor has told you to stop drinking, but you still cannot control yourself to stop drinking. With gambling, you haven't been able to pay your children's school fees. You know you should stop so that your children don't get kicked out of school, but you can't help yourself. You keep on doing it. There is, a strong compulsion, a strong subjective urge to use whatever substances or continue whatever behavior that you are exhibiting.
Yeah.
And then for some people, there's a narrowing of the repertoire. So you end up doing the simplest form of whatever you're doing, the simplest, most potent, high-yield form of whatever you are doing. Yeah, so these are some of the features that you look for in a dependence. And some of these things are applicable to sex.
Okay.
So this sort of loss of control thing, you hear these stories of people getting caught immediately after a board meeting. Everybody stepped out and the man couldn't wait just for the little while to get to somewhere more private, and then he's on the board meeting table with whoever was unfortunate enough to be there at the time, and then somebody walks in. There's clearly a lack of an ability to control the person's sexual behavior.
Yeah.
There's sometimes people end up having sex with people they didn't intend to have sex with. Like under normal circumstances, they wouldn't, but they were so...
It's almost as if something is controlling them. No. Yeah. So, Ms. Asa, I don't know what counselors say. I mean, is it like a spirit? Is it something that
not
is
exactly
making
so, but
them
just
do
to
that?
add up to what Doc is saying, it's at the point of dependency being established from whatever substance that changes your mood. So if it is cigarette, if it is sex, whether it's a particular food, kind of food, that you depend to live. Without that, you can't live. Like Doc was saying, if I don't gamble, then I'm irritated. I have to gamble by all means so to enable me to live. So anything that you depend on to live without prescription and control becomes an addiction. That's how we believe. I won't say it's spiritual, but we believe it's a behavior problem.
It's interesting you're saying it's not spiritual. Once we find people being...
It will depend on what you mean by spiritual. You know, in our local
maybe
sector,
something taking control of you.
Not exactly, because you start by all means from somewhere. It's like experimenting something, and then gradually it becomes your habit, and then you continue to the point that you cannot live without depending on such a substance. Or
but is there a point where counselors would make reference, you know, like say this person should go and see a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
Yeah,
or
we do. We do refer.
To that?
Yeah,
okay.
When you are diagnosed and you know that you are having mental problems or it's a medical, psychomedical problems, we refer them to hospital. But normally people don't want to hear psychiatric, going to the psychiatric. If I should tell Mama V, you need to see a psychiatrist, you say, but I'm not mad. So it's not about being mad, but it's a condition that maybe you're having disorders here and there, and say you need to talk to a psychiatrist. And ours is much on talks, not on drugs like my brother would say. Ours is a talk therapy. Most of it is talk therapy. Though we have the prayer side, which is theophoristic, but we don't normally practice it because people abuse it. Pastors, I'm sorry, some pastors. They abuse that kind of therapy. Before you can decide on a therapy for someone who is having a disorder, you need to diagnose it and know the degree by which the problem has reached. And then you know the kind of therapy to administer. Okay. So, yeah, theirs is science. We also do science. It's scientific.
Because
science is not just mixing.
So one last question before I go to what we picked from the streets. Okay. Can somebody be prayed for and then they will come out of their addictions?
Are you asking him or me?
No, I'm asking him.
Ask your pastor that question. It's like asking whether he has faith in the healing power of God.
It is not yet established. Okay. We can do it as an additional therapy, part of it, but not just prayers. Okay. No.
All right. Let's hear what people had to say about what their addictions are.
To my phone. Very much. You know, with the introduction of this social medias being WhatsApp and Facebook, I find myself more on those networks, browsing day in, day out, disseminating information, receiving and other stuff. It has affected me positively because I really get all the necessary information I need from this social media, especially WhatsApp. During my last sem, not even last sem, from the time I started schooling, whatever information I need, if it's about examination, about my school, whatever, academically, I get it on the social media.
Social media? Why? Okay, because I do most of my things there. I do things relating to the media, so I do most of my things there, ranging from research, hyping. Yeah.
Have you tried to stop?
Not really. No.
You love the addiction?
Yes.
But has it had any negative effect on you?
No. So far, so good. It's only positive effects.
I'm addicted to my books. Yeah, when I'm taught anything at school, I learn. When I'm taught anything at school, I come home and then I sit down for about 5 hours and then learn.
How does that affect you?
It helps me in my academics. Last year I was first in class.
I'm addicted to something, and that's Coke. And actually, I don't think it affects me in any way. I feel okay when I drink it.
Coca-Cola.
How? For how long have you been addicted?
Yeah, like 6 years. I've been trying to stop and I'm working on it.
So you take it Monday in the morning, evening and afternoon?
In the night.
Every night?
Morning, afternoon, evening, night. I take it all the time. I take like liters. I can finish like 6 to 8 liters a day.
I think basically it's my phone. It takes a lot of my time. Times that I'm supposed to be doing other things, I still spend them on the phone. That's basically it. It's just my phone. I'm addicted to my phone.
Yeah, I'm addicted to my mobile phone. It affects me in academic life and sometimes not respecting my mom.
My phone, when it's low battery and I've not gotten a charger, I feel horrible.
Oh, amazing. See, the things that people are addicted to. But can you be addicted to something and say that thing is good? Can you be addicted to, is there positive addiction?
No, addiction, at least medically, by the very definition of the term addiction, it has to be a negative thing.
Okay.
So if you are, like somebody was saying, is addicted to his books,
yeah,
and because of that he was first,
yeah,
unless he was actually aiming to be 10th or last in class, you can't really say that is causing him, is a problematic thing that he's addicted to. It's something that he's quite proud of, by the way he was even saying it.
Yeah.
So it's not an addiction.
Okay, but somebody also says that I'm addicted to my phone, so I'm not able to study.
Right. That would require more investigation, because it could be that there's another problem with paying attention to what you're doing, and then the phone is just the current thing that's taking up her time. But if it was that it was just everything was exclusively from using the phone, that she was having problems like when she didn't have the phone with her, she's obviously ignoring other interests because of the phone, like school, and she was mentioning a relationship with her mother. It's possible. It's possible. I need more information.
And when you're addicted to Coke?
Coke, actually, I think there was a lawsuit in the U.S. where a lady sued Coke after all her teeth fell out, because she kept on drinking several liters of Coke a day. That does stimulate your reward center, so it's perfectly feasible, plausible that you could be addicted to.
The people who are addicted to energy drinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a friend in the U.S. who was addicted to a brand of soft drink called Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
And I think you're aware of that. If within every hour, he will need a bottle of Dr. Pepper, and without that, he becomes irritated. So, yeah, such a person, we can say he's nearing addiction.
And if he's having withdrawal symptoms, he's
he becomes irritated, and whatever you'll be doing with him, he will have to get the Pepper bottle before he can come back to his normal mood. And then
I want us to go to Facebook, and then we'll come to what help there is and how people can begin to help themselves, if you can come out of it. So let's go to Facebook and then let's see what people are writing. This one, this is Sambian Inusa says, I'm addicted to my phone. Anytime I'm not with my phone, I normally feel like I'm not in my normal condition and starts wondering whether there will be missed calls, Facebook notification, and WhatsApp messages. Yal Graham says, I'm addicted to JoyNews and my cell phone. Help me out. If you're addicted to JoyNews, don't use addiction because it's good. Banview says social media. Ellie says I'm addicted to football. Richard says mine is greatness and wisdom. Okay, that will not be an addiction. Blackbeard says my addiction is I don't have addiction. Good for you. Dasmani says I'm addicted to water. Marcus Garvey says I'm addicted to reading. Akpalu addicted to sex. CD says social media. 10 number says playing video game. Forgive. Soga says social media. Kwame says nothing. All right, so these are just somebody says drinking water, Facebook, Word of God. Okay, it goes on and on and on. You can keep the conversation going.
So the video game one is a big problem in Japan.
The video game?
Yeah, it's a big problem in Japan. They are developing carpal tunnel syndrome. It's a problem that writers who work with their hands usually get, but they use so much that they're actually getting physical injuries in their hands. They are neglecting school and their social lives. They don't actually go out anymore because it's constantly inside playing video games. So he should be fine for the mere fact that he's able to watch this program in the morning.
Yeah, because he hasn't read there yet. He hasn't read the effects of
Okay.
now.
So if you know that at least you're doing too much of something and it's taking a lot of your time, taking you away from other things, how do you begin to recover?
Well, I mean, the first step would really be identifying the problem. Because a lot of these things that we're discussing here, they're not actually at the level of addiction where you might need professional help. Okay. You know, if it is a genuine problem.
Yeah. But being on your phone every time, and even if the phone is not with you, like you're thinking, do I have missed calls? Do I have notifications? That is not a problem yet.
What I'm saying, is it affecting your work?
Well, obviously something like that would affect you.
It's not that obvious to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's complicated. But you see, a lot of these people could stop you doing the thing they're describing if they truly wanted to stop.
Okay.
That's the real difference. A person with an addiction can want to stop, desperately need to stop, and not be able to stop. That's when we're calling it addiction, because the key word for addiction is compulsion. Okay. It's a compulsive urge. You fight it, but then it comes back anyway. If you're not really fighting it, let's be honest, this phone thing, who really wants to be away from their phone? Well, I think I may use my phone too much, but you don't really want to be away from your phone. You're not desperately trying to stop using your phone. So at that point in time, we're not at the point of addiction.
So can I understand? You know that you are in trouble when you've been desperately trying to stop that thing.
Precisely.
But you can't help it.
You keep on doing it.
Okay.
That's when we're talking about an addiction. That's when we're talking about a situation where if I take a scan of your brain and take a scan of somebody else's brain who doesn't have this problem, there will be a difference.
Okay.
But for most of these people here, I'm sure their brains look wonderful.
So let's talk about help. If the counselor it's easy for me to walk in or call him and say that I have a problem. But if I came to Pantai today and I said to you that I think I'm addicted to something, would you laugh at me? I mean, is it like something that, because I won't see the doctor is not the first point of call. It will be a nurse. Would that nurse take me serious?
Of course. I mean, that's the benefit of working in a psychiatric hospital. We take everybody seriously. You're more likely to have a problem like that in a general hospital than a psychiatric hospital. We tend to see conditions that are not even psychiatric. But once they come, we take them seriously, see what other problems we have. It's the thing about it is because of the history of stigma we've had in this country, it takes a lot to get up and say you're going to a psychiatric hospital. So we can't take anybody coming through the doors that we're not taking that person seriously. We have to take every single person that walks through our doors seriously. So we will walk you through the process, and the most difficult thing for us to do is to tell you that you don't have a problem. We will happily do it, but it will take about 2 hours of your life of us asking every single conceivable question to make sure that there is nothing wrong before we reassure you. So the assumption of everybody coming in is that they have a genuine problem and need some genuine help, regardless whatever the complaint is. So I wish more people would come and say that.
Yeah, at least spend like 2 hours and then you get to know that, oh, you didn't have a problem after all. But at least you got somebody to talk to.
Precisely. And sometimes we'll make a referral to somebody like my brother here, that maybe you don't need to see us, but you need to talk to somebody.
So what kind of conversations, I mean, how does it go from your side?
From what he's saying, it means that the person has a problem. It won't be a psychiatric problem, but emotional problem. So the person telling you that I have a problem and I need help tells you that he has a problem. It's up to you to diagnose and say, look, it is not about what you're thinking of, but you have a problem somewhere, and then we deal with such problem. So talking to him, even letting him know that he hasn't got a problem, means you solve a problem for him. Yeah. So that is that. What we do, ours is normally talk therapy. We talk to you. We try to we investigate, identify your problem, and then if it is emotional problem.
If it is sex, there was
sex,
yeah. If it's sex, what would a counselor do?
Depending on the diagnosis, what comes out of it, I don't know if a doctor will agree with me. I read somewhere that when you are 50 and above, you become addicted to younger women.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I beg, is it a condition?
Yes.
Addicted may be a strong word.
Okay. You are
attracted.
Yeah, you're attracted to young girls, and I think I got it from.
Is that a
finding? No, I got it from Dutch Weiler. Yeah, there was a psychologist who was saying that there's something up here, part of the brain here, and it's part of middle age.
Are you 50 and above? I remember we can use true life examples.
It depends on how old you are.
I'll be 16 very soon.
So I can be 16 now.
Yeah, I'll be 16 very soon. So I'm 50 and above.
Okay, but is there something?
To be honest, I haven't read that.
Yeah, but I read it.
Right.
I read it, and it says you get attracted to younger women.
So in that case, how can the counselor help?
There you go to the Bible, and you need to talk to the Bible. If the person is not religious, then you have to find a way of bringing him home to our setup, beliefs and culture, practices, and other things, for him to know that what he will be doing is wrong, and you need to change his behavior, and that's it.
Doc, if we're using other means to supplement what you do, would it be of much help?
For this sex addiction?
Yeah.
Yes. So with this one, we would use what we call psychosocial interventions. So we would talk to the person, have a long conversation with the person, find out under which circumstances he tends to engage in the sex that he doesn't intend to engage in. What are the things that tend to trigger this behavior, what the circumstances are. So we would form a plan with him, so he would have to make certain changes to the way he lives his life. If you know that when you go to this nightclub, by all means you leave with somebody who might be charging you or not be charging
or a laptop.
something small for the road, then you have to stop going to this nightclub. It's good for the person to have somebody they can talk to, so that when they are feeling that urge to go and do something reckless, they have an out. Because it's been found that when you delay these urges, sometimes they go down. So if you have something to do to distract yourself during those critical periods, then that can be very helpful. In Ghana, we're not really identifying these people enough, but what would be really helpful for them is support groups. So you sit down with people who have had similar problems to you, and then you discuss,
like we see happen in the movies.
Precisely. So you discuss what happened to you and how you avoided this situation. They're best at teaching themselves, because if you haven't been through what they've been through, it's hard to properly give them any advice that is practical.
Yeah.
So if the person they are calling cry is somebody who has been through it themselves, they can walk them through better. And also we would help with talking to the family, because when we're dealing with an addiction, families often don't understand how desperately the person wants to stop, and how much difficulty the person is having in actually stopping. Sure. And they also don't understand that negative emotions tend to precipitate the behavior that you're trying to stop. So by shouting at the person, insulting the person, why are you still doing this? Can't you see that is ruining your life? You're making the person feel worse. And when we feel worse, we tend to do the kinds of things that we're addicted to.
Yeah.
So somebody with an alcohol problem will go and drink when he's sad. Somebody with a sex problem will go and find 2 lovely laptops to go and do something or the other with, if you understand what I'm saying. So they need to learn, be taught how to interact with these people. So it's a journey. Well, there are several little things we can do to help.
Yeah, we missed activating the phone lines because of time. So there will be a part 2 of this conversation, definitely. But we have to make way for entertainment just before we wrap up. So I'd like to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Dr. Kwejuma for Obeng is a psychiatrist with the Pantai Hospital. You can always visit them. George Asa is a counselor, Transbridge Foundation, member of Ghana Academy of Christian Counselors. Thank you so much for your time as well, sir.